So this is after 2 more batches, which equates to 1 bag of Portland. Got some decent coverage, especially here where the form is. And then I got a piece of rebar over here to do this arch, which is kind of initially how I'm thinking it's gonna look, though it might change. But basically the wall will go over that arch, and the arch will be an opening in the wall. And if it's a tunnel on the inside, the arch will give the impression of depth relative to the wall. It'll be like a cave entrance. So pretty happy with how this is going. It's getting pretty solid. I'm just trying to advance as quickly as possible without getting overextended, which is easy to do with the mortar. I wouldn't want any of these walls to just fall over. Here's what this section looks like after I took the form off, and then I kind of scraped a lot of the organic material because it's like degrading plywood that kind of stuck to the wall. Scraped that off and then bent the staples down. And then you can see with this one that it's not all that solid. Like, it can still move and it's angled out a little bit, but it's still loose enough that I can still adjust it to get it totally level at this point now that the forms are off, before I add more, which will really stabilize it in place. And so I also got that little form off there, which connects the 2 pieces of lath, which is like really crucial that piece got on there as far as being able to continue the wall. And that one's going up nicely just because it's all straight. This one, it turns out these 2 pieces of lath, when I push them straight, they don't even connect. So I'm gonna have to put a little band-aid in there. And then this one I took off. I just haven't bent all the staples yet, so that one's pretty solid and pretty straight. But as soon as I get it on this side, it'll be really solid and really straight. And then I can just extend all of the work from yesterday. And then this is the other big one, or maybe even the biggest form that I took off. I also haven't bent the staples yet, but it's this one's probably the most solid one as well because it got full coverage with a couple coats. And so once this one gets mortar on this side, it's going to be super solid. And there's a lot of coverage all the way over there. One problem is that some of these tires the dirt has like fallen out of them, so it's difficult to even walk on that. So I think what I'm going to do first, including this one, is go around and collect some rocks from the courtyard to fill those holes, and then I'm going to end up mortaring probably the walkway next to the wall. I just don't know if I want to do that quite yet, but I'm finishing up the prep now, and then I'll get to mortar, and today should be a day of many successful mortar batches where this wall shall go. And now I'll show you the other side, over there, where there was some significant progress yesterday. You can barely see it from here, so I'll go over there and show you. Check out what I did over here. So that single arch of rebar, I used my 1 piece of remesh that I have to connect it to the bar, to the edge of the bar, and then use the 2nd piece of rebar on the far end of the remesh to set the curve for that plane. So the remesh makes the plane, the curved plane, to connect, and then the lath covers the rest. So this is what I'm going for, where like it's gonna be, the flat wall is gonna go up and above that arch, and so the arch like tunnel, and so that arch tunnel will end up connecting to the arch tunnel around where the firewood is there. So it'll be an enclosed arch, so like a cave kind of looking in from the side, and it'll give the illusion of depth to this whole wall, which is ultimately very thin. But if you look at it like looking into the arch, it'll look like it's very deep and thick. So this is how this side is looking over here. Today, one of my goals is to anchor in the top of this window thing, because I've got a 2nd coat on the bottom. The bottom's pretty good, but I haven't figured out how to anchor in the top yet. I just kind of cut that tail light kind of apart so that it can get mortared into the structure. So one of my goals today is to go over this with lath and figure out that shape, and probably with rebar as well. But like all of these sections here are pretty darn solid. which is nice, but I can get more coverage on all of it. And then hopefully I'll get a good bit more on this as well. It's a very interesting kind of shape. And then here I put 2 vertical pieces of rebar on this edge here, so one there and then one there, and it's likely that'll be the full height of it once it's all done, is the full height of rebar. So for a little perspective, it's going to be going up probably 2 more widths of lath above where the top of that lath is. So that's just a little over 4 feet higher. But this is starting to get mortar around it. At some point, maybe right here, the walls will be a little bit connected. It's kind of, I'm designing it as I go. And at one point I was also gonna do the tire wall higher, which part of it I think I am gonna do the tire wall higher, like, because it goes to just 1 tire thick right there where the rock wall is. It goes from 3 to 1. So I'll probably have to step the next course of tires up right in between those 2. So there's always at least 2 tires thick. But this allowed me to get this corner in, and this is going to change the whole look of this area drastically, and it's just going to make it look so castle-y. I just love it. But here's a view of it now, and we'll see how far I can get today. It is the end of the day, Thursday. Here's how the wall is looking thus far. I haven't really figured out a good way to end that side of it, but I've got a decent amount on all of that part of it, and it's a little bit sketchy in this section, and that whole part there is sketchy, and the sun makes it really hard with the lighting here. So there's that. And then over here I've added on a second layer, and it's not all straight yet, but this first layer is pretty solid, and so you can see the second layer there, and then there's that like arch that goes in that you can't quite see so well right now, but basically I'm getting the second layer of lath up on here. That's all of the lath that I have, so I've got all of the material that I bought up. I haven't secured it all and prepped it all for mortar, but that's all the lath I have. So there's several days of mortar left to do, but I will need new material to progress beyond where this lath is now. So plenty of rebar left. And then a lot of these verticals are just temporary to kind of hold it up. And got a couple interesting kind of rebar bends going on that I'm not totally sure about. But it's all good. That's it for now. Here's another angle, standing up on the rampart. And this is about the level where the bottom of the crenellations will be, of the crenelles. And the merlons will be up above this level. But I'm still working on finding the right level, leveling it out, getting the shape right, a number of different things. But I'm having fun with it. Here's how it transitions over to this arch structure right here. So on this side it follows the edge of the tire wall, and then over there the arch goes to the inside of that tire wall, and then the other wall is going to be coming on the outside of that tire wall, which then leaves a little gap in there, which I'm thinking I'm going to do something with. But this is turning out to be rather grand, so I gotta stabilize it all and whatnot before I can really do more mortar. But I've been doing prep all afternoon and evening today, so should be able to make a lot of mortar progress tomorrow. It is Friday afternoon. I've reset all of the forms. See, there's a couple over there on the far side, and board here. I had a bit of trouble with some of them, so they're like, I don't know, about half effective. But over there you can see the tunnel got some mortar on it, and then that form and then these forms will help to get a little bit of coverage on that far side, which has been pretty flimsy on the second layer. So we'll get a little bit of coverage on the second layer with the third batch of the day before breakfast. And yeah. end of the day Friday, and got some good coverage on this arch. Got inside and out seating in a good bit of it. So double layer means that probably tomorrow it could support my weight, but I won't walk on it tomorrow. I'll wait till the next day when I add more tomorrow. And so that one form allowed me to get a good bit of coverage over here. And then those ones, a couple of little verticals. And basically have bridged over the window on top with the mortar, except for that little hole around that piece of rebar, which I'm going to take out. And then just got a little bit more done over there on the forms, and a little bit more. So it's definitely coming along. Here's how it's looking at noon on Saturday. Got good coverage on the tunnel here. Just did a batch this morning. I moved that form over and took it off of that other area. And this placement of that form got a lot of mortar onto it. It's a little bit sketchy though because it's not really supported on the left side. It's all just kind of balanced up there. So it's not going to have a lot of structural strength until it's reinforced, but as long as it doesn't fall, I'm alright with it. And then just got some more on those forms, so I should be able to take those vertical ones off either this afternoon or tomorrow. And that's all I got on it so far today. I gotta pivot to some other things for right now. By the end of the day, Saturday, I just got one more batch on, all of it over here. Working on getting the section up to its full height. And there's really good coverage on this little arch section. And tomorrow, it may be feasible to get the wall, the gap over there totally connected so that the wall is connected from this side to that side. And I might even be able to reach for the citadel tomorrow. We'll see. But there's quite a bit more mortar to do on this. Slow and steady. Hey girl. Where do you think you're going? No grass over there. Don't go in there now. Don't get any ideas. You wily child. Come back to the grass. The horses are visiting, mowing the lawn, sharing the land usage. By the end of the day, Sunday, it's really coming together. You can really get a good idea of that whole part now with the last section filled with that form. So I'm really liking how it's sort of coming together, and then when it rounds there, it all looks so solid. And it's still got a ways to go, but lots of progress. 3 batches done today. Monday morning, another supply trip complete. Spent over $1,000 at Home Depot. Most of it on steel, 30 pieces of lath and some remesh. I should have enough steel to finish the whole wall project I am currently doing, as well as close to enough Portland mortar. Might need more Portland. Got some cull lumber and ready to go. Didn't even have to sell any metals, which I was thinking I was going to have to sell some metals, but I'm building at the rate of the cash flow, reinvesting into OG Foundation. On the far side here by the Citadel, which by the way is a little gutter going up, it's a overflow gutter. So I figured out how to tie the wall into the Citadel, basically just with this one piece of rebar. So I'll just put lath in underneath that piece of rebar, and then that's simple enough. And this wall is basically from there, there's some coverage at least, all the way over to here. So there's a gap right here that I haven't filled yet. But I've been putting most of the mortar into this section up here, which is looking pretty good. It's like almost, other than that gap where that rebar is, it's almost like got the first 4 feet done on a good bit of it. So the wall is like pretty cool. And it's just got the walkway, which is the whole idea, is to make like this rampart next to the wall that you can walk on, and then you'll be able to walk around here. So just in the process of doing this project, I've opened up this tire walkway here. And so this is now well supported by that mortar there, that mortar there, and can walk over this, over to, well, I can't really walk to the other side, but eventually there's basically going to be some sort of stairs or something to be able to walk from here over to there. But for now, I just kind of jump across. Well, there's a big old spider there. For a second I thought it was in the mortar, but it's not. So this arch is like well supported all up until there. And that form got 2 batches on it on that far side. So I'll take that wooden form off today. And then starting to get some semi-finished coats in a number of different places. All of these vertical rebar ones are just temporarily holding them. None of those are going to stay in place. Though I have been kind of thinking that I should put some vertical rebar in. But basically there's no vertical rebar until that corner. And that may or may not be a good idea. I don't know, but it's resource efficient at the very least. The idea is that it won't be able to tip. Like, I don't know. It's really complex to even kind of explain how it even holds itself together and ends up being super strong when, like, logically it should all be very flimsy because it's so thin. But that's Ferrocement for you. It's a great material. That's what that looks like with the plywood removed. So it's like just looks kind of funky. If you can see it, man, the lighting is so bright, I feel like you can't really see anything. But no, yeah, now you can see it. So it looks really funky right now, but just 1 coat of mortar, and it looks like everything else. Check it out, the first Merlon is up. So that's the height of the wall, and then I'll have the crenellations on top. And I'm going to do a slightly different crenellation pattern where they're all going to look somewhat like that. They're going to be like 2 feet wide, 1 foot tall. The Merlons will be. And then the crenelles, the spaces in between the Merlons, will be 2 feet wide. Is the pattern I'm going for. So it'll be like a 2, 1, 2 pattern. So that's pretty exciting that the first Merlon is up. So I'm going to, I think, use some of these plywood scraps and stuff to make forms for it. So that can hopefully get some coverage today. But the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see how a lot of these tires are porcupined in between the gaps of them. There's nails going into either tire. So first thing I'm going to do is put on some, throw some mortar up into those gaps so that once it's more packed out, the wall on top the weight of it can be borne further down the tire wall, so that it's more stable. And then the rebar will help with that as well. So these some of the Merlons will have the rebar in it, like that one has a piece of rebar going all the way up into it. And so I'm also going to be kind of anchoring the rebar into the tires where I can as well. So by Tuesday evening, I got a good start on packing out these tires. And then I got a second Merlon up, the first crenelle, which is the gap in between the Merlon. And I guess there's now officially a crenellation because there's 2 Merlons and 1 crenelle, which forms a crenellation. So that one, I made like a custom form with cutting a piece of plywood and then, or particle board stuff, and then using those 2 2x4s to stand it up and get it as straight as I could. And then still working on the other one. The gap between them is a little bit deeper than it's going to end up being, just a couple inches like deeper. And before I said I mixed it up, but they're 4 feet wide, 2 feet tall, but they're actually not 2 feet tall. They're a little smaller than that. They're like 21 inches tall or something. And then I got the rest of that piece of plywood up there to start the form up there, and then a little bit more on the back side. But 3 batches today and lots of good progress. I guess that's the last video of the week. So a lot of progress on this whole project this week, but it'll take several more to finish this project. Many weeks, most likely. But it's cool to get the first Merlons up there, so that once that section is all done, then I can move to either side of that, and like the middle of the wall is kind of done. Then I could probably work my way towards the end that way, and then keep going this way. But that's cool to get a general height of what it's gonna look like and feel like, and it looks a lot different from in the courtyard. And anyways, I like it a lot. Turned out well so far. It's been really hot without any rain for at least a week, and it's been really dry out there. So yesterday I hooked up the irrigation and pumped water from the water feature to the water in the living space, and then also pumped out probably at least 500 gallons to the fruit trees in the courtyard where it was really dry. And heavy watering like that can make a big difference. They got looking really happy today. It can make a big difference in kind of breaking a drought period for the fruit trees so that they can produce optimally. But that's all for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.